Oh hi. Strasbourg, the city and the commune in the east of France, the historical capital of Alsace and the prefecture of department Bas-Rhin. It is located in the region Grand Est. The former Alsace, Champagne, Ardennes, Lorraine. Department Bas-Rhin, the district of Strasbourg, cantons. Strasbourg -1, Strasbourg -2, Strasbourg -3, Strasbourg -4, Strasbourg -5, Strasbourg -6 on the river near the left. Western river bank Rhine on which there passes the border of France and Germany, opposite to the German city of Cal. The population -275,700 people. 2013. The city has been status of the parliamentary capital of Europe since 1992, as is the place of a meeting of the Council of Europe since 1949 and the European Parliament since 1992. In Strasbourg there is an European Court of Human Rights. Strasbourg is one of the key centers of economy of the northeast of France, where financial and banking activity develops, innovations in the field of medicine and engineering appear. In particular, creation of the car of future generations. Strasbourg, without having the status of the capital of the state, like Geneva and Washington, is also the place of a meeting of the international organizations and carrying out the multinational congresses. Availability of such organizations as National Theatre and the National Opera confirm rich cultural life of the city. The University of Strasbourg is a pole of an attraction of students from more than hundreds of the countries from around the world. The National School of Administration is moved to Strasbourg from Paris. The German name of the city of Strasbourg means the fortress at the road. Strasse, German die Strasse, is designated by street or road and berg. The lock, fortress strengthening. The ancient name of the city, Argenteuret, according to one of versions, comes from a name of the goddess of money to whom Celts worshipped. According to other version, the root of a toponym of Argento means the bed of the river, a stream. The second particle of the name, rat, means military strengthening, fortress. This name quite corresponds to historical provision of the city at northern boundaries of the Roman Empire. Subsequently, in the period of feudal dissociation, the city, thanks to availability of the bridge, was not of a road network on the axis the east-west connecting the German microstates, having lost important strategic provision on the axis the north-south passing across Rhine. Since 6th century the city began to carry the modern name. Strasbourg, being the capital of Alsace boundary with Germany of the northeast region of France, is in the geographical center of Western Europe, an industrially developed region of upper courses of Rhine from Basel to Mainz. Strasbourg is at distance of 2-3 hours away from such cities as Stuttgart, Zurich, Frankfurt am Main, 5-6 hours away from Brussels, Paris and Toulouse. With introduction of the high-speed trains, TEV State's trip time from Strasbourg was by rail cut almost by half. To Paris -2 hours, to Stuttgart and Luxembourg -1. The
capital of Alsace, is at the height of 140 m above sea level and is characterized by a flat relief, thus height differences within the city are very insignificant. The highest point is with cathedral and on crossing of streets of Grand Rue and Fosse de Tanners in close proximity that corresponds to the most ancient places of settlements on the hills towering in the middle of the flooded lowlands.
The city stands on the River Aar, his main artery, and on the left coast of Rhine, with which the River Aar is connected by network of channels. Strasbourg is located on one of the largest reserves of drinking water in Europe. About 35 Bakken. The extensive river system and also proximity of underground waters become the reason of frequent floodings. Therefore, at construction of many quarters of the city, it was necessary to carry out measures for drainage of territories, such as making of systems of channels, a drainage. The area of the commune -78.26 square km, the population -272,975 people. 2006, with a tendency to grow. 275,718 people. 2013. Population density -3523. 1 people/km. The population of the commune in 2011 made 272,222 persons, in 2012, 274,394 persons, and in the 2013 -275,718 people. In 2010 from 189,412 people of working age, from 15 to 64 years. 127,824 were economically active, 61588 inactive. An activity ratio of 67.5%, in 1999, 64.5%. From 127,824 active able-bodied inhabitants, 106,934 persons. 54244 men and 52690 women. Worked, 20890 were registered as the unemployed. 10649 men and 10241 women. Among 61588 able-bodied inactive citizens, 34226 were pupils or students, 9898 pensioners, and 17464 more were inactive owing to other reasons. Climate of Strasbourg continental with a considerable amplitude of temperatures on seasons. Winter cold with frequent rainfall in the form of snow, summer hot. This city is located between two massive, the Vos and Schwarzwald, that protects from strong winds. Besides, in comparison with other cities of France, in Strasbourg less rainfall thanks to a natural barrier from the western winds. Vajazzi is observed. At the beginning and the end of summer often there are downpours to thunderstorms. The lack of wind, summer heat and also a geographical location of the city become the reason of increase in content of harmful substances in air. The first historical evidences about the settlement of people in the neighborhood of Strasbourg belong to 600 BC. During archaeological excavations, many objects of times of the Neolithic, Bronze and Iron centuries were found. About 1300 BC. On this place ancestors of Celts locate. By the end of the 3rd century BB, the settlement of Celts under the name Argentorit, in which there was a market and a place for religious practices, is formed. The first mentions of Strasbourg belong to the 1st century, when under the name Argentorit it became one of the boundary cities of the Roman Empire.
In 357 in the neighborhood of the city there was a fight at Argenteratia in whom the Emperor Julian Odstupnik broke army of the German Aleman.
Since 406 Alemanni finally occupy Alsace. In 451 after attacks Argenterac is destroyed by Attila's Huns. In 496 after the first victory of the German Franks over Alemanni in fight at Tobiac Argenterac/Strasbourg for the first time gets to a sphere of influence of the kingdom of the German Franks.
After the third fight of Franks of Ludwigo from Alemanni at Strasbourg in 506 the Alemanski power got beaten, and in 531 years its territory was attached to the Frankski kingdom as the breeding duchy of Aleman.
The first authentic data on existence in Strasbourg of episcopal department belong to the 4th century. One of bishops, the Saint Arbogast Strasbourg, living in the 7th century, is considered the patron of the city. In 842 Charles the Great's grandsons, Louis II Nometskwy and Charles II Lysai, exchanged the well-known Strasbourg diplomas, the first written evidence of existence Romance in Theodiscus. Drevnenovan Metsky. Of languages, having divided thus among themselves the kingdom of Carlovingians. In 870 according to the Mosensky agreement Louis II Nometskwy receives Alsace, which is a part of the East Franksky kingdom now, and after formation of the Sacred Roman Empire the German nation as the western part of the Duchy of Swabia. Alemannia.
In 974 the city authorities headed by the bishop running the city acquired the right to mint the coin.
In 1176 construction of the cathedral began. Since 1201 Strasbourg uses the seal with the image of the Mother of God with open hands. In 1262, having broken in Gausbergenski battle of army of the bishop, the power is taken in hand by handicraftsmen. Having used contention between noble families Zorn and Muhlengem, they create city council in 1332 and elect from the community the head, Amister. In 1444 in Strasbourg the inventor of the European publishing Johann Gutenberg lives and works. In 1439 construction works on construction of a spike of the cathedral are completed.
In 1482 the last changes which remained in an invariable type up to the Great French Revolution were made to the Constitution of Strasbourg.
1518, the beginning of the Reformation after publication of the ideas of Martin Luther. In 1529 the meeting of Eschweiler voted for the Reformation.
Charles V's order in the cathedral restored a Catholic Church service for a period of 10 years from 1549 to 1559.
In 1604 the Gajanowski Agreement is signed, this war of bishops terminated in a victory of Karl Lotarinski representing Catholics. In 1621 the Protestant gymnasium based by Johann Sturm in 1538 receives the status of the university.
In 1681 the army of the King of France Louis XIV besieges Strasbourg and that forces the city to recognize the power of the king.
Under the terms of the agreement citizens took the oath of fidelity to Louis, but kept a number of the rights and privileges. From now on the city departs to France that was fixed by the Ryswickski World of 1697. In 1721 Charles-François Anon opens the Strasbourg Faience manufactory. On July 21, 1789 after the announcement of capture of the Bastille the city town hall was plundered. In 1790 Dietrich becomes the mayor of Strasbourg. On April 26, 1792 in its salons at Broglie Square the Marseillaise is for the first time performed. In 1870 after a siege Strasbourg capitulated to Prussia.
In 1871 the city becomes the capital of the imperial state of Alsace-Lorraine.
After Wilhelm II's renunciation from November 10 to November 22, 1918, day of receipt of the French troops under command of the General Gourand, the power in Strasbourg was in hands of Council of Workers and Soldiers. C. Alsace Soviet Republic.
In 1939 evacuation of the population of Strasbourg on the southwest of France in connection with the possible beginning of war is carried out.
On June 18, 1940 the German troops occupy Strasbourg. Alsace is annexed. Refugees come back. On November 23, 1944 Strasbourg was freed by troops of the General Leclerc. In 1949 the city was elected the place of stay of the Council of Europe. In 1979 the first elections to European Parliament by universal suffrage took place, and the first session of the European Parliament under the chairmanship of Louise Weiss took place in Strasbourg.
In 1992 at the Edinburgh meeting the decision on placement of the residence of the European Parliament in Strasbourg is at the highest levels made owing to what construction of the new building with the conference hall finished in 1998 began. In 2006-2007 with an accession to network of the TF lines, large-scale reconstruction of the railway station of Strasbourg and construction of a glass dome over the building of the 19th century.
Culture. Permanent transitions from Germany to France had a huge impact on Alsace, and in particular on Strasbourg. Now the city is a product of mixture of two cultures. German and French. Every time after the next war in which center there was Alsace the region was restored, having turned into one of the most economically developed regions of France today. In Strasbourg there is the main office of the French-German TV channel Art. Sport. In the city the football club of the same name is located. Sites. The central part of Strasbourg, the so-called Big Island. Limited to sleeves of the river are, it is entered by UNESCO in the list of the World Cultural Heritage because of originality of architectural appearance. It is a case, the first for France. 1988. When Old Downtown was entered in the list of the World Cultural Heritage. The historic center of the city of Grandil is entered in the World Heritage List. The first floor stone, the others wooden, ornamented by carved sculptures and a decor. 2 days Strasbourg, the university and industrial center of France. In Strasbourg there are also other socially important constructions built during the same era, for example, the prefecture, the former ministry of Alsace and Lorraine built in a Fort Duc Romandolsheim.
It is interesting that the historic center of Strasbourg was included by one of the first among other European cities in the UNESCO World Cultural Heritage List.
The Cathedral of Strasbourg is considered a masterpiece of Gothic art. The first stone and foundation of the building was mortgaged in 1015, and it took a present form in 1439. Thanks to the easy and graceful spike which rose on height of 142 meters, the cathedral up to the 19th century was the highest Christian church. The facade of cathedral is decorated in hundreds of sculptures. In an interior attract stained glass windows of the 12th, 14th centuries, monumental body and the astronomical clock which mechanism is dated 1842. Denis von Vezin, passing through Strasbourg in 1777, it was especially impressed with local cathedral. The big city houses are very similar to prisons, and streets are so narrow that the sun never of these sinners lights. Between other things the bell tower, any more not to Ivan Veliki a couple is remarkable in Strasbourg. Height its prestrashny, it all end to end and perforated so, apparently, any minute it is ready to collapse. Hammerzel's house. A pearl of Fachwerkige architecture, many years served merchants who in the 15th century kept little shop under arcades of its stone first floor. The Fachwerkige walls of upper floors decorated with an intricate carving are dated 1589. Hammerzel's house is in the downtown, at Cathedral Square. Now in upper floors there is a small hotel, and in Sokol, restaurant. The covered bridges. A part of historical strengthenings of the city, bridges with the towers protecting sleeves of the river. The bridges built in the 13th century were exposed to numerous reorganizations within centuries.
Originally they were covered with a strong wooden roof from where there was their name, however in 1784 the roof was sorted as by then constructions completely lost the defensive value.
Now represent a number of bridges. Bridges are completely reconstructed in a stone in 1865. And 4 city strengthenings, square in respect of a tower. 2 central towers at the basis are enclosed with strengthenings of bastion type. A view of the covered bridges, one of the most memorable in the city. Along with the Strasbourg Cathedral, it is a favorite plot of pictures. The good view of the covered bridges and the downtown located behind them opens from the panoramic site on so-called Vobensdam. Christmas market. In December in Strasbourg there passes a Christmas market, a Christkindlesmarkt, the oldest in France and one of the oldest in Europe. Its history contains more than 4 centuries. For this reason Strasbourg is called the capital of Christmas.
The market is located on squares Broglie and Kleber and also on the square in front of Cathedral Notre Dame, and annually attracts about 2 million visitors from the different countries of the world.
Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.